A white West Virginia couple has been accused of adopting black children and forcing them to work as slaves. This West Virginia couple are charged with human trafficking, child neglect, forced labor, and more after prosecutors alleged that they adopted 5 black children from a shelter to do forced labor and live in deplorable conditions. Jeannie Whitefeather, a 62-year-old woman, and Donald Lance, a 63-year-old man, are both accused of adopting the children from ages 6 to 16 from a shelter for homeless and vulnerable youth, targeting them for forced labor specifically because of their race. And this is all according to a 16-count indictment. It alleges that human trafficking, human rights violations, the use of forced labor in Kanawha County. According to West Virginia Metro News, human rights violations were specific when it came to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race and that they were used basically as slaves. Whitefeather and Lance are being held at the South Central Regional Jail in Kanawha County on a $500,000 bail, according to jail records. They both pled not guilty to the charges. Kanawha County Sheriff Deputy said that they found the children in October during a welfare check at the couple's home in Sissonville. They said they forced their way into a barn on the property where they found 2 children in a small room. The children had no means to exit the barn on their own, no running water, no bathroom facilities, and were obviously deprived of adequate hygiene care and food. They said at the time, they then found a small child locked inside the main home alone. The 2 children in the barn ranged from ages of 14 and 16. They had been locked inside the barn for about 12 hours when they were found and were forced to sleep on the bare concrete floor, according to the indictment. Court documents said that the children were dirty and had strong body odor and that the 14-year-old had open sores on his bare feet. Neighbors also reported that the children were forced to perform farm labor and were not permitted inside the residence. According to Whitefeather's attorney, he said that it was just a plain and simple misunderstanding about what was going on here. The couple are being accused of abusing the children initially at their 80-acre ranch in Washington State and then in West Virginia, where they moved after learning that they were being investigated. It's believed that the family lived at those 2 residences while they were committing the crimes that turned the residence from property into contraband. And that's my thing, people, when it comes to people adopting children from homeless shelters, black children in general. What are they doing with them? Because this is not the first case of something in similarity to them abusing children that they adopt. Some of them adopt them and do other things to them, other sorts of abuse other than slave labor like this. What are they doing when they go to these shelters? First of all, we know that the system that allows people to get these children from these shelters must not be vetting the people that get the children from the shelters. They must not be doing welfare checks because somebody else has to call in and say, hey, let's go check on these children. So if you're allowing children to be adopted from a shelter, somewhere in there you should do a pop-up welfare check to make sure that whoever adopted them is taking care of business. That way you're giving assurance to those children that, hey, they're all going to be okay. So you do a pop-up and you say, hey, no, I just came to talk to the children. And you ask the children, how they treating you here? Is everything fine here? Oh, I like it here. Or, no, they over here abusing me. Because you got to figure you had a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old out of those 5 children, which definitely are able to tell another adult whether they're being abused or mistreated. So some of this stuff is systematic. Is the system really protecting the children? Or are they just saying, oh, we're overwhelmed with children. We just want to get them placed somewhere else because we got other ones on the list that need to get shelter. Because you can't have stuff like this. And then you got to think about it. Like it said in the article, when they were living in Washington, they already were in fear that they were being investigated. So they fled and moved to Virginia. Right then, the police should have been like, whoa, something ain't right here. Why did they flee to Virginia? Okay, we need to track them down. But no, they didn't do that. It took whatever good-hearted person to say, hey, I think you need to do a welfare check over there because what I'm seeing from out of my front window is not looking good. I never see these kids allowed in the house. All they're doing is working on this 80-acre farm, and they're all black. And think about it, too, for the court to say that they believe that they were treating them as slaves, it's probably even more to it than what's being reported. But yeah, people, it's got to be something done about this kind of thing. But definitely what more so has to be done about it is don't have children if you're not willing to take care of them. That's what I will definitely say. Because children don't ask to be here. But if you're going to lay down and have them, you do your damnedest and you take care of them. You don't break wide as soon as you have the children. And that goes for the man or the woman. And with that, I'm going to say this is the news in you. North to east, west, south, unite from every alley and Cali, intersection and back street. Subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up on your way out the door.
Star Child, I never
seen the sunshine like this.
I never
seen the moon glow like
hey yo, I never